Hey, what's good, guys? It's Clutch Entertainment here, back with another video. And for today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the Houston Texans, and I'm just gonna be reviewing like the team overall as a whole, reviewing the different positions, the players that we have in those positions, and just all of that before we hit draft season. Um, so first off, I want to start obviously with the quarterback position. As we all know, Deshaun Watson's playing status is up in the air right now. We don't know if he's going to be suspended. We don't know if he's going to sit out or any of that stuff. So I mean, as of right now, all we have is Tyrod Taylor, Ryan Finley, and I believe another quarterback. I'm not too sure, but I guess with Tyrod Taylor as your starting quarterback, he's a solid backup quarterback. As a starting quarterback, I would say it's like probably like an average to below average NFL QB as a starter. So it's not a bad quarterback to have. I mean, obviously, if you want to be a team that's going to contend, it's not the best option. But I mean, with the state of the team that we are in right now, it's a pretty solid option, I guess, for the money that he's making. I think it's like $6 million guaranteed. That can go up to like $12 million, so it's not bad. And then with Ryan Finley as a backup, he's still fairly young. He's a solid. He played solid for the Cincinnati Bengals last year. I remember that he pretty much tore our defense apart. So I mean, we know that he can perform when he's given a chance. But yeah, solid backup option. I'm gonna give the quarterback position right now with Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Finley. I'm gonna give like a B minus, like a solid C plus, a B minus, anywhere from that range. As I said before, it's not the best, it's not the worst situation, but it's just like in the middle. We don't know what it's gonna be yet. We don't know Tyrod Taylor's status. I've seen that he's been working out this summer. He's worked out with Deshaun Watson, as a matter of fact. I'm not sure where, but he was like somewhere with Quincy Avery, Deshaun Watson, Dobbs, the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just different quarterbacks like that that are in Quincy Avery's quarterback circle, I guess. The next position I want to talk about is running back. The running back position, I feel like we are a the top 10 team in terms of running backs. We have Philip Lindsay, of course. He's like an 11 and 12, like a ranked 11, 12 type of running back. He's like outside of that top 10. We got Mark Ingram, who's not a bad second option, and not a bad power back whenever we need to get those extra tough yards or as a backup relieving running back. And then David Johnson as our third running back. If we have David Johnson as a third running back, that really shows that our running back room is deep. Sure, you can say, oh, David Johnson's washed or whatever. And sure, I agree that he's washed. Or not necessarily washed, but he's not the same David Johnson he was before. But I mean, he's not a bad third option. Say late in the game, Philip Lindsay and Mark Ingram are tired, or one of them get hurt, or whatever. David Johnson's there to take on that load. He's a good receiving back. He's really started to wake up in the beginning of the end of the year, like weeks 15, 16, 17, and a little bit before that too. I believe he finished like around 700, 800-ish rushing yards. I'm not exactly sure, but somewhere around there. So he's not a bad third option at all. If I had to say the running back position is probably like in my opinion, it's like an A minus. Sure, we don't have the home run hitter like a Nick Chubb or like a Derrick Henry, like a Alvin Kamara or someone like that. But we have a bunch of guys who are solid and can produce and who can put up numbers and who can have consistent games. Mark Ingram, as I said, solid backup option. Philip Lindsay, as I said, solid 10 to 11-ish running back in the NFL. And then David Johnson as our third down back. That's a very good running back. So yeah, that's why I gave it a A minus. At worst, B plus. Next position I want to talk about is the wide receiver room. In the wide receiver room currently, we have Brandon Cooks. We got that one guy from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can't remember his name right now. Chris Conley. He's a pretty solid, I guess, wide receiver. I believe he had like somewhere between 507 to 800 yards, I think last season or the year prior. He's not a bad wide receiver 2 option. He's that big wide receiver, that big body, that physical guy. He has a mixture of speed, size. His hands are a little bit iffy though at times. I know that he deals with a couple of drops here and there. But as a wide receiver 2 option, he's not the worst, but he's not the best. He's like, I guess, as an average wide receiver 2. But where it really gets exciting for me is in the slot position. We got Randall Cobb, of course. He's I would say a slightly above average slot receiver. I know that we're paying him way more than what he's worth. He's probably like maybe a $4 million per year type of player, and I think we're giving him like almost 8 or something like that. I'm not too sure, but all I know is that we're overpaying him. But he's not a bad slot wide receiver. He's an above average. I would put him in that same tier as maybe Cole Beasley. They play very similar alike. I know Cole Beasley is probably slightly better. Not slightly better, he's better, flat out. But Randall Cobb, he's a very good receiver, slot receiver. He can get those extra yards for you. He played quarterback, so he knows how it is to like get hit and have to evade pressure and all of that. So he's always gonna be there in the right time. He's that type of guy. He had that one toe tap against the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. That was a very good catch, very underrated receiving touchdown this season. And we got Kiki QT. Well, he's a young guy. He's a young receiver. I think he's like 24, somewhere around there. He has a lot of potential. This is his contract year, so I would imagine that he like tries everything. He goes 110%. He's gonna give everything he has. He's gonna put all the effort that he has. I know years prior he was put in Bill O'Brien's doghouse because it's Bill O'Brien. So I mean, who doesn't make it into the doghouse? But he's a very solid wide receiver 2 option in the slot. Not bad. Last season when Randall Cobb got hurt and I think Will Fuller got suspended, he really started waking up, really coming out, really putting up numbers and all of that. I think he finished the season with 3, 4, maybe 500-ish yards, somewhere around there. I think 2 or 3 touchdowns. So not a bad year to only play half of the season. I feel like he could eventually, if we were to resign him after this year, and if he has a solid year, I feel like he could eventually be that franchise slot wide receiver. Sure, he has those concerns about, I guess, not character, but like just not giving everything that he has, like all the effort, 102% effort. But I mean, he's a very good player. He's talented. He can run that seam route really well. He's a very good deep threat in the slot. There's not many slot receivers who are good deep threats. Randall Cobb, he's not a good deep threat, but he's a good slot receiver. Cole Beasley, he's a solid deep threat, but he's a very good slot receiver. Julian Edelman, that's a prime example of a good deep threat and slot receiver at the same time. I'm not saying QT plays like him in any sense. I guess a little bit of sense, but not like too much. But that's, I guess, a little bit comparable. Like a very good slot receiver, but at the same time, a good deep threat. A guy who can run that post. A guy who can run that seam route, that fade route, anything you want deep. He's that guy who can run it. And he's very good at screens. This past season, he got a couple of screens. And then I think in this wide receiver 3, I think we got like Isaiah Coulter or someone. I think, yeah, it's Isaiah Coulter. He's not we don't really know too much what he's going to be. He barely played last season. I think he played like 4 snaps the whole season. So, I mean, we don't really know. He's basically a rookie still this season. I know I'm missing one receiver. I can't really think of it right now. Brandon Cooks, I think I already talked about him. He's a very good speed guy, very solid route runner, has some hands, all of that. It's not your ideal wide receiver 1, but he's a solid wide receiver 2. As a wide receiver 1, he's not the best. He's like a average wide receiver 1, I guess. He's like an average wide receiver 1, but elite wide receiver 2. It's kind of hard to talk, like hard to, I guess, like talk about him as a wide receiver 1. Last year was more Will Fuller as a wide receiver 1, but then when he got suspended, Brandon Cooks, he did a solid job carrying that wide receiver 1 role. So yeah, I guess there's room for optimism in the wide receiver room. Got Kiki QT, got Isaiah Coulter, and I'd imagine that we draft a wide receiver. I'm hoping we get a guy like maybe Cornell Powell or Shi Smith, someone like that in the late rounds. Maybe Josh M. I'm not sure how to say his last name. I think it's like Josh M. Yabu, something like that. I know that people have compared him to like a DK Metcalf in some sense. So yeah, there's room for optimism in the wide receiver room. The next position group I want to talk about is the offensive line. The offensive line, that's going to be a very completely different group from last season. We have the same left tackle and right tackle, but our center is gone, our left guard is gone, and our right guard is gone. I'd envision that's going to be Max Sharping starting a left guard next season. Probably Justin Britt starting a center, and then maybe Justin McCray or... Oh no, it's going to be Marcus Cannon at right guard, the guy that we traded for from the New England Patriots. So it's going to be Marcus Cannon at right guard, Titus Howard at right tackle, Justin Britt at center, Max Sharping at left guard, and then of course Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. The age range for the offensive line, I guess it's sort of in the middle. I think Laramie Tunsil's like 26, about to be 27, maybe even about to be 28. I'm not too sure. Titus Howard, I think is like 23, 24-ish. Max Sharping, I think, is like the same as Titus Howard. Justin Britt, I believe, is like 28, 29. Marcus Cannon, I think he's like 33, about to be 34. So, I mean, it's one old guy, and then the rest are like middle-aged to young. So, it's pretty solid. I'm hoping this offensive line can get their chemistry up. Hopefully, there's a preseason where they can play a couple of games together, have a couple of series together, get their chemistry right, get all of that. But the big thing about the offensive line is we have a new offensive line coach. It was the former offensive line coach for the Green Bay Packers, where Lane Taylor, the guy that we signed to play backup right guard, Lane Taylor's our former offensive line coach. So maybe they do a little bit of swapping there. Maybe starts at left guard over Max Sharping. I don't really see why they would do that, considering Max Sharping's still a very young player, has some potential, but you never know. I think it's the offensive line coach's name is like Crampton or something like that. I'm not too sure. I don't remember right now. But it's not a bad offensive line group. Probably like middle of the pack, maybe 15, 17-ish in that ranking. I would probably give that position group like just a solid B. We got a superstar left tackle, a very good prodigy superstar right tackle. We got an average center. Justin Britt was pretty average when he played. He's not bad. He's not great. He's not bad. Marcus Cannon, he's an above average. If he was a right tackle in New England, he's going to be a right guard for us. So he's a above average right guard. And then Max Sharping, we don't really know. He didn't really play last season. I'm not sure why. They started Clemente over him, but I guess it is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to give it like a solid B. The next position group I want to talk about is tight end room. In the tight end room, we got Jordan Akins, Collie Waring, and then Ryan Izzo, the guy that we traded for the New England Patriots for a 7th round pick. There's no guy that really stands out. There's no guy that's like clearly better than any of the other guys. I'm assuming there's going to be a bunch of rotations, maybe 2, 3 tight end formation sets at times. Ryan Izzo is probably going to be our primary blocking tight end. I'd imagine Jordan Akins is our wide receiver, or the tight end receiving target number 1. And then Collie Waring, probably the number 2 target for the passing game as a tight end. Collie Waring, we don't really know what he's going to be as well. I know that he played a couple of games last season. I think he had like 3 catches, something like that. Nothing crazy, obviously. He has potential, of course. He's a very good athlete. He's fast. He's strong. He's basically a freak of nature. I don't see why he can't develop into a solid tight end. Most tight ends take at least 3 to 4 years to develop. So if Collie Waring is going to be anything in the league, anything in the NFL, it's probably going to be shown this year and maybe next year on his last year of his rookie deal. But yeah, that's a tight end room. I would give it like a C plus, maybe like a solid C. There's nobody that stands out. There's nobody that's like good. I would say they're all average to below average tight ends. There's nothing to be excited for. It's just a tight end. There's nobody there that's like a superstar or a star or anything like that. They're just all average. But yeah, that's the offensive rankings. Like the offensive, just talking about the different offensive players that we have for right now until the draft. I'm gonna talk about defense probably later this week before the draft. The draft is next week, I think, next week and a half. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. But yeah, Clutch City Sports. Peace. Hope you have a good day.